So handmade watercolors the last few years have become a bit of an obsession. More like a black hole for some people. For me included. I mean, I have started a business making handmade watercolors. The natural progression of that obsession is of course handmade pigments. Haven't jumped into that pool just yet, but believe you me, I'm standing on the edge of it. So when I saw that Marisat had made these with handmade pigments, these pigments are picked up at Drumheller in Alberta, Canada, and they are 3 different stones or minerals: brick, ironstone and coal. The names of these 3 are Creation Coal Black, Ironstone Red Oxide and Badlands Brick Pink. To test these out, I will start by swatching them to see just how they react first off the bat. I will make 2 small paintings. I decided to start by doing a small sketch or a small painting with a lot of details, and that had to be a dinosaur, obviously. So after a little bit of research, I found that a common dinosaur in this area, if Google is not lying to me, it is Albertosaurus. And as you know, I have a dog named Albert, so I have been a big fan of Mary's for years, and I love her videos almost as much as I love her artwork. I think it is partly because of her style, but also because of the subjects that she does. I love painting and art, and also have a very big interest in history. Both human history and in animal history, and I think that is why I have sort of followed her for such a long time, because we share those interests. With all of that being said, just to let you sort of know where I come from as both an artist, as a fan and as a paint maker, that is sort of what I'll be thinking about when I'm going to start reviewing this product. So what is this? Well, this is a set of 3 full pans of handmade watercolors with ground up pigments. They are in a tin. I have the gold one. There are a few different colors, I believe. They are held inside with double-sided tape. On the sides of them we have the name of the different colors or the different materials used to make the colors. From what I can see, filled once or twice. They are not filled all the way to the edge. We can clearly see that the coal color and also the ironstone oxide have some shrinking going on. It is very common when we're working with earth pigments that are a little bit drier. The brick pink, we don't have that much shrinking going on. We can see that we have some air bubbles in all of them, also very common. It is sad, but that is the sad reality of making paint. We get air bubbles. I am constantly at war with my own colors to get the air bubbles, and they keep on winning. But yeah, we can also see that the brick pink here has a little bit more shine than the others, and also that is down to how the different minerals or earth pigments react. I also know that you use a vegetable glycerin. I use glycerin in my paint too, together with honey. Now these are vegan watercolors, so of course you can't use honey in those, but that is where you get that a little bit of shine. I think it's very clever to use that kind of humectant. When we do work with earth pigments, that tend to be a little bit drier. We can need a little bit more help to get them to re-wet. Maybe even use a little bit more. But that also is a very fine balance, because if you use too much, the paint will almost get a little bit gluey, and it can also be that this shine that you get from the glycerin can stay on the page. And you don't typically want a shiny watercolor as in shiny surface. If you want shiny as in sparkly, that's a different thing. But yeah, you just need to weigh that. Now, when it comes to these pigments that she has made herself, you can never get them as fine as you can get in a big mill where you have industrial big grinding things. So that is also that you can't get them as pigmented, but I think she has done a really good job at that. Now into the more specific of the colors. The coal black has a very nice cold brown tone, and when you paint it out, it has sort of almost like a sepia quality to it, and it has a very nice granulation. Iron oxide has a very nice neutral, right in between yellow and brown color, which I think is very, very nice, and it also granulates, but it has a very soft granulation, which I feel is very versatile. You have these very nice colors. You have a warmer and then a darker and then a bit more neutral, which I think is really, really nice. Then we have the Badlands Brick Pink, and it is a very, very fun color, and it's very unique. On the paper that I have here now, of course, paint will react differently on different papers. The paper I've used to paint on is an art journal, and it has 300 GSM hot press paper. Now it's not like hot press, but it is hot press, and it has texture enough for me not to hate it. But when it painted out, you have a very unique shade of sort of a pinkish corally color, and then the granulation, and when you get into a more mass tone, you have an almost rusty orange color. That is very fun to see the difference. I then wanted to try to paint something that had a little bit more space, just to see how the paint flowed and how it worked in a bigger area. And I really wanted to do some form of landscape. Now, I am not a landscape artist in any way, but I did found this picture of Badlands of Trondheim, Canada. So that is what I'm going to take. All the reference images I have used in this video will be linked down below. Painting with these, how was that? Well, to keep in mind what they are handmade watercolors made from ground up stone to make pigments. I think it's quite amazing what Maria has been able to achieve. The colors are clearly 3 different colors. Very, very lovely colors. Soft but yet buildable colors. Have a beautiful granulation and very nice texture to them. I really admire that they are not as coarse as I would have imagined them to be. They are pretty weak in their mass tone. It does take quite a lot of effort to get the colors going. That is true for a lot of watercolors. That is a problem we always have. My best suggestion is to add some water, let it sit, and then start working, and also work with nylon or synthetic brushes. Anything to keep you from scrubbing your brush into it. Also keep in mind that they are coarser than a synthetic pigment. That is just, I mean, it's earth tones. So do what you can to save the life of your brushes, and using natural hair, going in dry where the pans are dry, and just scrubbing, that will kill your brushes, and that's not nice. You want to be nice to the brushes. So I would say spray them down, add a drops of water, let them sit for a bit, take it easy, you know, get warmed up, and then go in with a synthetic or nylon brush that can take a little bit more heat. And if you really are adamant that you love working with natural brushes, you want to use Kolinsky or squirrel brushes to paint with these, then take the synthetic brush and transfer it to a palette and pick up the pigments from there. Hey, we need a bathroom break. I found that they worked really well painting with. They are a little bit easier to work with on the smaller area, but also keeping in mind that you can't get super fine lines or sharp points because you have that granulation. Something that I was pleasantly surprised about is how well you can layers. Often when you have highly granulating colors, they lift quite easily, but here I found that I could go in and add layers to the skull to really deepen up that shaded area, especially using the coal black. I found I can get a really nice darkness out of that. When it came to the landscape painting, first I just need to say that I added in one of my colors, a Harald, to sort of get a little bit more of a blue color, and I took that color inspiration from her business card when she has a color gradient looking sort of like a sepia to a bluish color. So I used a Harald, my color, and mixed that with a coal black to get that sort of granulation going, so it looks kind of similar to the color she had there, just to get something different to sort of this is a sky. These colors don't have a lot of flow. And for somebody like me, when it comes to landscape, that was kind of nice. I usually work with very high flowing colors, but here, because they didn't flow, I didn't have to be afraid that they would bleed into each other too much. Also, I tried to really push this and see how that blooming effect would work out in the sky, where I had put down the wash and then gone in and sort of added more water to see what would happen. And I did get a little bit of blooming, but not as much or as crazy, which leads me to believe that if that is something that you are afraid of, these paints are really great for that. Also, when you do a lot of detail work like with the skull, you don't really want a color that will flow a lot, and you want to have that sort of more control. In conclusion, my final thoughts on Natural Formation Handmade Watercolors by Mary Sange in Drumheller, Alberta, Canada. I would give them all the stars that I have. I really like them. I really like the quality of the paint. I really like the colors. I like the texture. Now, I am a granulating fan. I like that in my watercolors. That's what I think is so amazing with these. You can get that texture that you can't get from store-bought watercolors. Something that I love about these are the story with them. That they come from dinosaur land up in Canada, and that I, in my sketchbook, now have a part of that wild Canadian landscape. I mean, I have painted it with the stones that I've painted, and also the dinosaur skulls that walked on these stones, you know? I think that is just very magical. So if you are into history, into especially dinosaurs or just nature, I think if you get a chance, I am so happy that I now have this set in my collection, and I think it is, I mean I have a hard time articulating, and I still have a script that I have written about what I feel about it. But I just really like them. Now, is this a set where you can have use every day and paint anything? No, these are special. These paints are unique. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel like sometimes we get so focused on getting just what we need, and it needs to be able to do anything and everything. Well, sometimes we need something special, and these paints are special, and they create something unique. And they are created by somebody who is very special and unique too. So that is my thoughts about these watercolors. I think they are amazing. I wish I could do something like that, to find pigments out here in Sweden to do something close to this. But for now, I will just enjoy painting dinosaur skulls with earth from dinosaur land, you know? As a paint maker, I am like, yeah, well done, very well done. The only negative thing about these paints are air bubbles and that they dry and shrink. And that is true for anything. I mean, that is true even if a person buy watercolors on tubes and then pour them into a pan. You will experience that those paint will get air bubbles and they will shrink. That is just what happens when water evaporates. That is sad. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I certainly have enjoyed it. I have had a lot of fun exploring these paints, painting with these paints, talking about these paints, and I hope you have liked them too. Until next time. I don't know if that was good.